Well, I think the Biden administration had an extinction.
Sir, please be responsive to my question.
I'm trying, sir, and this back and forth is just eating your time, that the Biden administration had an extinction policy for crypto
This
assets.
is when Trump came into office. I'm going to go to the next question because your answers on, Mr. Chairman, the answers have to be responsive if we're going to have a serious hearing here.
Well, the questions have to be serious.
Well, those are 100 dismissals of cases that the Trump administration came in and executed in their first weeks in office.
This may look like a routine oversight exchange, but it's actually a stress test of regulatory independence. What's really being tested here is whether financial governance serves public trust or institutional convenience. This raises broader questions about how policy priorities shift when enforcement gives way to deregulation, and who bears the risk when transparency fades. In this video, we'll break down how a single hearing reveals deeper tensions between stability, innovation, and accountability at the heart of the U.S. financial system.
This is rule of decorum. And I'd like to remind everybody to respect the 5-minute rule. And having been a witness before Congress before in my executive branch days, it is important to note that our members can spend their 5 minutes and never ask a question or not. It's their 5 minutes. So let's try to be mutually respectful of each other. And I now recognize the gentleman from Massachusetts, the ranking member of our Digital Assets, Financial Technology, and Artificial Intelligence Subcommittee, Mr. Lynch, Massachusetts, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, based on early reports, and this is an analysis done by Public Citizen and subsequent news reports, when the Trump administration came into office, they immediately took steps to either halt, dismiss, or roll back over 100 enforcement actions and investigations against corporations in its first 2 months in office, with a very heavy concentration on financial services, consumer protection, and cryptocurrency, totaling over $3.1 billion in potential penalties avoided. Now, as a member of the Financial Services Oversight Council, is that a concern that you have raised within the council, all these immediate dismissals of cases against financial services firms?
Well, I think the Biden administration had an extinction.
Sir, please be responsive to my question.
I'm trying, sir, and this back and forth is just eating your time, that the Biden administration had an extinction policy for crypto assets.
This is when Trump came into office. I'm going to go to the next question because your answers on, Mr. Chairman, the answers have to be responsive if we're going to have a serious hearing here.
Well, the questions have to be serious.
Well, those are 100 dismissals of cases that the Trump administration came in and executed in their first weeks in office. Like that. All of a sudden, all these crypto cases went away. The SEC was dropping cases. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau dropping cases. Well, sir, look, you're on FSOC with all the heads of these agencies. This should be a serious question to you. Trust should be a serious question and a serious issue for the financial services industry, especially as a Secretary of the Treasury. Well, that's an important. No, this is my time. I haven't asked you any more questions. I haven't asked you any more questions.
It's the gentleman from Massachusetts.
I'm trying to get to my next question.
Could you speak a little louder? I can't hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I might.
Mr. Secretary, let Mr. Lynch proceed with his time. Put 4 seconds back on the clock, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Lynch.
I just want to do a comparison of the FSOC reports. Let's go back to 2024, and then we'll talk about the current report. In the previous report, the members of FSOC expressed serious concerns related to potential risk to financial stability regarding the lack of explainability and high complexity of AI and the approaches that have a potential to heighten financial instability, especially in the areas of bias and discrimination in credit decisions. That was in 2024. Your report in 2025 focuses on removing regulatory impediments. So in 2024, we were concerned about consumer protections, and now, under your leadership, we're concerned with eliminating regulatory impediments. The dangers, and that was a report during a time where the chairman and I were co-chairs of an AI task force. Those dangers haven't gone away in reality. Those dangers are still as severe for the American consumer, but they are absent from FSOC's report. So it's obviously you've eliminated or dropped that priority as an issue for FSOC. So can you explain the change from protecting the consumer and now eliminating regulations?
We are charged with financial stability, and we are focused on leveraging AI strengthen the financial system resilience, but with economic growth and a security lens.
On the issue of explainability, any concern about that in the use of AI in the financial services industry?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The issue of explainability, how when people apply for credit and are denied, we don't have the ability for AI to explain why they were denied. Is that a concern? I mean, we are talking about the trust within the financial services industry.
It could be a concern, but we don't view it as a priority for financial stability.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back. Thank you.
Gentlemen,
What just happened in that hearing was not a slip of the tongue. It was not a misunderstanding. It was a moment of clarity. Sharp, uncomfortable, and revealing. When Congressman Stephen Lynch leaned forward and said, "Sir, please be responsive to my question," he wasn't just asking for an answer. He was demanding accountability in a room that seemed increasingly allergic to it. Lynch laid out a stark set of facts. More than 100 enforcement actions and investigations against major corporations quietly halted or dismissed in the opening weeks of a new administration. Billions in potential penalties simply erased from the ledger. Financial services cases, consumer protection cases, cryptocurrency oversight cases, all gone, not debated, not voted on, just gone. And when Lynch asked whether this sweeping retreat from enforcement was ever raised as a concern within the Financial Stability Oversight Council, the response he received was not clarity, it was deflection. That moment matters. Because in a functioning democracy, power is not just about what decisions are made, but how openly they are explained. When the nation's chief financial steward cannot or will not give a direct answer about the rollback of corporate oversight, the silence speaks louder than any prepared statement. This exchange exposed a deeper tension running through Washington right now. On one side, lawmakers asking whether trust, fairness, and transparency still matter in an economy shaped by immense technological and financial power. On the other, officials framing their mission almost exclusively around growth, speed, and deregulation, even when unresolved risks remain plainly visible. Lynch didn't stop at enforcement. He drew a clear line between past and present. In 2024, official reports warned about the complexity of artificial intelligence in financial decision-making. They raised concerns about bias, opacity, and the inability of automated systems to explain why a person is approved or denied access to opportunity. Those concerns were not theoretical. They were grounded in real-world consequences for everyday Americans navigating an increasingly automated economy. But in the most recent report, those warnings vanished, replaced by language focused on removing regulatory impediments. Not because the risks disappeared, Lynch was clear about that. The risks are still there, just as severe, just as real. What changed was the priority. And then came the most telling admission of the hearing. When asked whether the inability of AI systems to explain their decisions is a concern, the answer was blunt. It could be a concern, but it is not viewed as a priority for financial stability. That sentence should give every viewer pause, because it reveals how power is being defined. Stability in this framework is not about whether people understand the decisions that shape their financial lives. It is not about fairness, clarity, or accountability. Stability is reduced to market function and institutional comfort. If the system keeps moving, if growth continues, if friction is minimized, then the rest becomes secondary. This is how moral questions get quietly reclassified as technical inconveniences. What we witnessed was not chaos. It was order. A very specific kind of order, one where enforcement can be paused without explanation, where transparency is negotiable, where trust is discussed rhetorically but treated as optional in practice. And it raises a question far larger than this one hearing. Who is the system designed to protect? When oversight fades and answers become evasive, confidence doesn't rise. It erodes. Markets do not run on numbers alone. They run on belief. Belief that rules apply evenly. Belief that decisions can be questioned. Belief that power will, at some point, explain itself to the people it serves. Congressman Lynch's frustration was not personal. It was institutional. He was pressing for a conversation about responsibility in an era where technology and finance move faster than the laws meant to govern them. And what he encountered was a philosophy that sees restraint as an obstacle, not a safeguard. This is the crossroads America keeps returning to: growth versus guardrails, speed versus scrutiny, convenience versus conscience. Moments like this, hearing, do not always trend. They do not always go viral, but they define the trajectory of governance more than any headline ever could, because they show us in real time what leaders choose to prioritize when pressed and what they are willing to leave behind. Democracy does not collapse in one dramatic moment. It erodes through unanswered questions, through priorities quietly reordered, through hearings where time runs out before truth ever arrives. And that is why paying attention matters, because accountability only exists when it is demanded and remembered. If you believe these moments deserve scrutiny, context, and truth beyond the soundbite, support our work. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA.